But we begin with the topic. Are you in or out? And here's the deal. As I mentioned this topic with Nick Chubb, it's devastating when we see season-ending injuries. But the positive side of it from a fantasy perspective is that we know where they stand. I know that Nick Chubb is now out. And so as disappointed as I am, I know what to do. I have to move forward. Now actually, I don't know exactly what to do because I got to figure out what other running backs are out there. But I know that I can't rely on him anymore, so I move forward. But here's what happens in fantasy football, and I imagine you can relate to this as a fantasy manager. Week in, week out, some of the toughest decisions that you and I face are what to do with questionable players. It's not the major injuries that cause us the most week in, week out stress. It causes us disappointment initially, but it's the guys that have the quote unquote minor injuries. It's the injuries like the hamstring and the groin and the ankle and the ribs, where they're not going to be out. They're not even going to go on IR for 4 weeks. They're just going to be banged up. But here's what happens. All week long, we as fantasy managers are trying to decipher, wait, are they going to play? Are they not going to play? We're getting mixed reports. One minute we'll get a report from a coach and say, yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to play this week. But then the player says, oh, I'm good. I'm fine. I'll be out there. And we as fantasy managers, we're just confused. We're being led on by certain reports and we don't know what to do. And so it's very frustrating, especially when we have guys on our roster that always seem to be questionable. They're just the classic guy that's like, yeah, here they go again. They're back on the designated list for being questionable. And so, you put the Q next to their name and you're trying to make decisions. And oftentimes these are game time decision guys. So you're going all the way up to the wire trying to figure out, okay, am I going to put him in my lineup? Well, if he plays, is he going to be as involved as he normally is? Or because he's been banged up all week, maybe he's not going to, be on the field as much. And so this happened to me this week. George Pickens. I thought, all right, he's questionable. I don't know. I saw one report that you shouldn't play him this week, so I didn't play him. And of course, last night he had a huge game. He was awesome. Big touchdown play that helped the Steelers ultimately win that. I mean, obviously their defense did. But anyway, George Pickens, he was in. And then the other thing was Amari Cooper. He was questionable all week. Mixed reports. So what did I do? I started Elijah Moore in 2 leagues. He did okay, but he wasn't great. I left points on the board because I played him over certain guys because I thought, oh, maybe he'll be the guy this week. So needless to say, the questionable situation we all relate to in fantasy. But what about in our own lives? How questionable are we? How committed are we to people? We'll start there. Because oftentimes they'll go, oh, is Bryce coming? Nah, I don't know. He's questionable. Is that how we want to be? Is that how you want to be to your friends? Do they know that they can count on you, or are you always questionable? Are you always kind of a game time decision? We'll see if he shows up. Yeah, we don't know if he'll show up. He's questionable. Or are we the type of person who's reliable? Because we know in fantasy football, when you have a guy that's there every week, he's healthy, he's reliable. We know they can get injured at times, and that stuff happens. But the guys that week in, week out are consistent, reliable, trustworthy, those are the guys you want on your roster. And in life, those are the people that we want in our circle. Those are the people we can rely on, that they show up when they say they're going to show up, that they come through when they say they're going to come through. They're not going back and forth all week. And to take it a step further, are we questionable when it comes to our commitment to Jesus? Are we in or out? And that's the question that all of us have to answer really every day. But ultimately, initially, do we believe he is who he says he is? Or are we in or out? And say, I'm going to surrender my life to him. And then every day, are we going to live for him? Or are we in or out? Or are we always kind of questionable? Are we going back and forth all week? Are people kind of, I can't really figure out. So it's very confusing. Is he in or out? I don't know. Or is it clear? Because that's really what it comes down to. Jesus says in Matthew 12:30, anyone who isn't with me opposes me. And anyone who isn't working with me is actually working against me. And so in fantasy, we want to know, okay, is the guy in or out? Is he active or is he inactive? We just want to know. And so if you're not available for me as a player, then you're out. You're working against me. You're not helping my team. If you're not showing up, if you're questionable all the time and then you're not able to play, you're not helping. And so is our faith, are we active in our faith or are we inactive? And then what about this? Is our character questionable or is it consistent? Do we leave people wondering where we stand in our faith? Does it seem like we always have a Q next to our name, or are we clearly following Jesus and serving him? Are we going back and forth? And so in Joshua, he's speaking to some people, and he asks, or he makes this statement. But as for me and my family, we will serve the Lord. And so today, is that a declaration that you make? As for me and my family, we will serve the Lord. I'm not going to be indecisive or wishy-washy or sitting on the fence or questionable. No, we can declare with confidence that no, I'm committed to Jesus. I'm available to be used by him. And then I'm available to other people that when they can count on me. If I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. And so the encouragement for us today, let's stand firm in our faith. Let's be someone who can be definitively counted on to be there for the team. And this happens when we truly love God and we're fully devoted to him. It says in Deuteronomy 6:5, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And then in Matthew, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. And so we got to drop that questionable tag in our lives and commit to being available and all in for God and others.